Pursuant to New York State Open Meetings Law 1044, Board of Education member Willette Jones will be participating remotely. And I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. And please ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tracy, roll call, please.
Mark DePace.
Here.
Amanda Grubler.
Here.
Kirsten Gustafson.
Here.
Willette Jones.
Here. Here.
Calvin Lewis.
Here.
Matthew Mackerer.
Here.
Lakia Walker.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor? That brings us to the student representative report.
Hello guys, my name is Halima Hapani. I'm the Vice President of the Student Council, and I'm just subbing in for Thomas, who's in Chicago right now, college touring. Okay. So tomorrow we have field day, and this week we've been having Spirit Week. Yesterday was Pajama Day, and today was Decade Day or Throwback Day. And then this weekend or Friday we have a homecoming game, and this weekend is the dance. We're trying to prepare for that, and ticket sales have been pretty good, but we'd also like more participation in, buying. And then Model UN is doing pretty good too. We've had our first mini Model UN. However, many high school students participate in these clubs and have these academic competitions with numerous other students. And unfortunately, a lot of these students have to rely on club fundraising to fund for transportation. So the Model UN would kindly, respectfully ask if the district board could help us out with that. Because just like sport events, Model UN holds academic competitions as well. And then AP Bio had their salamander research the other week, and Varsity Club has also been holding some fundraisers. The Writing Center for seniors is also starting up. As a matter of fact, today was the first day of College Tuesday. And there's also been 2 new clubs, Students Against Cancer and the Students Against Destructive Decisions. Student Tech Crew is also back in session along with Yearbook, and there's been minimal progress so far.
Amazing. So many exciting things. Thank you.
What is Students Against Destructive Decisions?
That just where, first of all, the advisor of that club would be Ms. Tuttle, the health teacher here, and the president would be Matt Long. This club just hopes to make students more aware of decisions such as alcohol, drinking, and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, they're thinking about bringing a ruined car during one of the prom events or homecoming, and just showing people the bad decision making that alcohol lead to.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Brings us to a presentation from Dr. Elsa Courtright-Torres, Executive Director of Teaching and Learning.
Should I take this mic with me?
No, there's one up there.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm delighted to come and speak with the board this evening and with the public in regards to our Department of Teaching and Learning initiatives. We are very busy in our department, so I'm happy to share some of the highlights. So the objectives for tonight is that I will be presenting to you some of the new initiatives, procedures, and expectations of the Hudson City School District and my department, the Department of Teaching and Learning, for this academic school year. This presentation will provide everyone with information about resources that are available this year and for teaching and learning overall for the 24-25 school year. So one of the quotes that I cherish and always I keep in the back of my head because it kind of reminds me of my why. My why is that I want students to be successful regardless of who they are, where they come from. So Zaretta Hammond says, one of the goals of education is not simply to fill students with facts and information, but to help them learn how to learn. And this is something that when I was a teacher, I used to do in my classroom. I would help students how to figure out problems on their own, how to figure out the information on their own, and develop in them a love of learning. And I believe that that's something that we should all strive for in our organization. Another quote that I really like is this one. If a child can learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach them the way they learn. And this calls for differentiated instruction. How do students learn best? Students learn best when they are offered with multiple ways of demonstrating their learning. Not necessarily the same old tricks of the old days, right? The paper and pencil task. But they could also demonstrate learning by doing different kinds of things. So this quote really also strikes with me because it's one of those things that I value and I also would like to see in all the classrooms that we visit in our schools. So with that, I'm going to remind everyone that everything that we do in this district is around, or it will be aligned to the 6 keys for school improvement that Dr. Pennyman, our superintendent, has highlighted for our district. And one of them is strengthening the instructional core. Another one is improving data-driven practices, promoting a positive, inclusive school environment for all stakeholders, strengthening instructional leadership capacity, tiered approach to school support and intervention, and increased monitoring and accountability. So you will see that all the initiatives that we have put into our district and we have implemented this year and have been implementing, so it's really aligned to all these 6 keys. And we want to make sure that that happens because that's what we strive for in order to make the greatest impact and have the greatest impact. This also ties to our DSIP, our District Comprehensive Instructional Plan, so we need to have that alignment all the time. And so we also want to tie this to the school improvement plans that we have in our websites for all to see. And I invite you to please take a look at those documents and review them. They all are aligned to these 6 keys. So let me talk to you a little bit about the status of the Hudson City School District as I see it as an instructional leader coming in. Based on data from the 2022-2023, the Hudson City School District was identified as a target district. What does that mean? It means that one of our schools has been designated as a school that needs target support and improvement. That school currently is MC Smith Elementary School. That is not something that I made up, Dr. Pennyman made up. The State Education Department deems that as a designation for the school based on the performance of a subgroup of students, namely our Hispanic population. Let me emphasize that when I say Hispanic, that doesn't mean our ENL students only. Some of our students were born here, speak English, read and write in English, but they still need help. They need to have the resources available to them. So let's not assume that when we say Hispanic students, we're only naming ENL students. That is not the case. The district is mandated to have a district comprehensive improvement plan to set goals and action plans specifically to address the academic and social emotional needs of the district. And a school comprehensive educational plan, the SCEP, for Montgomery C. Smith Elementary School to address the performance of all students on the New York State assessments and specifically the needs of the Hispanic students as they identified group. The DSIP and SIP are on the district's website. Please go there and review these documents. Both of these documents are also tied, and like I said before, aligned to the 6 keys for school improvement, and other sources of data helped inform what is in those documents, such as the data from FastBridge, which is one of our common assessments. We also use data such as attendance, behavioral data, etc., to make those decisions, to put in those documents what is relevant as part as what we're going to be striving for and how can we improve teaching and learning overall for all of our students. So there are 3 major areas that I want to emphasize with this presentation. One of them is the alignment of curricula and assessments to the next generation standards. Currently, our district is operating with the Common Core Learning Standards. Those were the old standards. 2017 and now, we're supposed to be following and aligning our practices, our assessments, and our curricula to the next generation standards, not the Common Core Learning Standards. The students are going to be tested on the next generation standards. So if we don't teach those standards, we're really behind. So that's something that we need to focus on. As I stated in my favorite quotes, differentiated instruction is a must in each and every classroom. Why? Because our students come from different backgrounds, they have different lived experiences, they have different languages that they speak, they have different experiences with formal education. Some may have formal education in the past, some may not have formal education. So we need to actually know our students really well. Know what it is that makes them interested in learning. And then how can we measure their success? That has to be paramount in every single classroom. That has to be the goal. So therefore, there's going to be a lot of professional development. And some of our teachers are feeling it. They have come to me and said, oh my God, here goes another one. Okay? But it needs to happen because we're not going to put something out there to teachers, for teachers to do without support. They need support. And so do principals. Principals, everyone in the building needs to have professional development so that we can have these latest things that are happening with these programs that we're purchasing, such as Eureka Math. The science of reading is huge. This is something that we need to know and learn about the most. Because if we cannot develop those reading, those foundational skills with our youngest students, then when they arrive at the middle school, they're not going to be able to be successful with the type of tasks that we are having them do that are aligned to the next gen standards. The work is rigorous. It should be. We should have high expectations for our students, not low expectations. We should know that if we're following the next gen standards, those standards are created for a reason. They are to prepare our students for our 21st century skills. So therefore, we need to focus a lot on also MTSS. How do we progress monitor our students? MTSS stands for Multi-Tier Systems of Support. So we need to figure out how to best help our students, not when the assessment comes in May or in June or wherever, or the regions comes, but way before that. We need to figure out what types of assessments, formative assessments, will help us inform our decisions as professionals and as educators that we are. so that we can better meet the needs of our students. AVID. The skills that are embedded in AVID are helpful for all students, not just a select few. So we need to figure out what can we do to make sure that all students are exposed to those skills, not just a few students. Those skills are like metacognitive skills, how to organize your work, how to take notes, how to ensure that you are organizing your thought process when reading a passage, close reading, etc. So those are things that we need to ensure that we have professional development for our teachers and everyone on staff to meet the needs of all students and not one group of students versus another group of students. So here are the new initiatives for the 24-25 school year. Multi-tier systems of support. So starting this year, we received professional development starting in the summer. We partner with Branching Minds, which is an organization that puts out a platform for us to use, that we can say, okay, how are we going to progress monitor our students? What kinds of tests can we put, what kinds of data can we obtain from that platform so that it will help us improve our teaching and our learning? So that's what Branching Minds does. It helps us organize our work around, okay, what is the handbook going to say? What types of interventions can we provide for students at different levels of their learning? So if they're not progressing, are we providing them with tier 2 interventions, tier 3 interventions, and how are we going to manage that? It's going to be very difficult, of course, to manage a lot of students with various needs. But the platform helps you and helps us understand where students are. So if they take an assessment and they're deemed to have a need to have tier 3 interventions, the program will highlight that for us. The program will tell us these are the standards that the student needs to be able to master and the skills. So those are things that we're looking into. This is the first year. We hope that it's something that is successful for all teachers, that it will help them better create lessons that are more targeted with more explicit instruction taking place in small groups and in whole groups. So we have formed a district-wide MTSS committee. This committee is comprised of teachers, coaches, and administration. The district-wide committee received training over the summer, as I stated before, and now we're looking into how can the folks in that team turnkey that information to other teachers and other people within our district. We will continue to meet monthly to assess the implementation progress and to problem solve with the successful implementation of MTSS at each building. Each building is unique and different, and each building is at a different level with the MTSS implementation process. Therefore, we need to customize our support. If more people need training on the platform, that will be provided. If people need more support on what tier 2 interventions look like in a classroom, that support can be provided. How can that be provided? We have a lot of resources in our district. In our elementary school alone, we have 10 AIS reading teachers. 10 AIS reading teachers. Think about it. With all of the resources that we have, plus we have other resources within that building that would help with delivering those interventions to students as quickly as possible. Because the one thing we need to do is, as soon as the students, we see that they need a type of intervention, we need to act upon it and provide them with those interventions. Then we will check with them periodically, every 6 weeks, to see how they're doing. We have also 4 psychologists at the elementary school. So being that we have these resources at the elementary school, you may ask yourself, then why are we in the state that we're in? We need to ask ourselves that question and be truthful about it. Exposing ourselves to what the reality of things are. Something is not right. And we need to discover what that is, and then we need to move upon fixing it. Right? We cannot expect the same results every single year by doing the same exact thing all the time. We have to, if we want to have different results, we have to change the way we're doing things. It's the definition of insanity. So that's MTSS. These are the members of the district MTSS committee. And we're very thankful that they were a part of it. Because again, these folks were trained on everything to do with the MTSS process, and now these folks can train other individuals within our organization. Building capacity is one of our key, 6 keys for success. So building the capacity of these individuals and then having them turnkey the information is a wonderful thing. And we will keep doing that. Here are the benchmark assessments that we're currently administering in the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. In the beginning of the year, which is what the students are doing right now. The high school is almost done with their window. Well, actually, all the schools. Window will close 10/4 for the elementary school and for the junior high school. And then for the high school, it will close on October 9th. The middle of the year will occur in January and February, and then the end of the year it's going to be a combination of May and June. So what we try to do is build it up so that it doesn't conflict with other big assessments, such as Regents and New York State assessments. So these are the expectations with regard to MTSS. School administrators have to coordinate MTSS meeting times and select members of the team, which will be comprised of a facilitator, and it will be the administrator or designee, an associate principal, for example, school social workers, school psychologist, an AIS provider for math, and one for ELA. The presenting teacher is the teacher bringing the concern to the table regarding a student. Now that should happen after everything has been done on her part. For example, providing tier 2 interventions in the classroom. This is not a springboard for special education services. I want to make that very clear. MTSS is not a springboard for having a student be referred for special education services. That should be the last resort. What we want to do is provide students with tier 1, a strong, very strong core instruction, which is tier 1, tier 2, which would be those interventions that will help the students that are research-based and will help the student by putting them in place for, let's say, a period of 6 weeks, re-examining how the student is doing, and then establishing whether the student needs more interventions, intensifying the intervention so that it would become a tier 3, or whether the student will continue to remain on a tier 2 intervention to give him or her a little bit of more time. That's how that works. The team also can have a support staff that has a direct link to the student. So sometimes it might be someone like has a special relationship with the child, might be a part of that team, because they could speak about the child being, who they are on a regular basis, on a day-to-day basis. So when will these meetings occur? These meetings will occur at least once a month. Invites going out to all the people that are involved in the team, especially myself, because I like to see how our kids are doing. I want to be a part of that decision-making process. We're all a team. We're all in this together. And if I can be of any help supporting our teachers, that's one way of me being in there supporting them as well. So if a meeting were to be occurring after school, obviously we have some HTA contract things that we need to take care of, such as compensation, and we know that. The meetings will be held to answer any questions, problem solve, and get a sense of how things are going in each building. In year one of implementation of MTSS, these are the district meetings that I'm talking about. When will building MTSS meetings occur? These meetings will occur, every building is different, like I said before, unique, and we like that. Principals will provide a schedule of regularly scheduled meetings. Meetings will occur at least once on a bi-weekly basis. And at these meetings, teachers will present the individual students and their needs to be discussed with an emphasis on Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions using a problem-solving model. Teachers will, the teacher that is presenting the child will receive support from the team by following a Branching Minds agenda protocol, which is all in the Branching Minds platform. There's also an MTSS handbook, which we will make available to everybody and the public as well. It will be posted on our website for everybody to see, hey, this is the process that we have in place when students are not doing well. There are also building level MTSS steering meetings that occur. These meetings are more focused on after a fast bridge assessment is administered, they discuss how did the school do overall. So the results from those tests are discussed. If there are interventions that need to take place because a certain grade level is, or a certain, subject area is more problematic than another, then those interventions can take place after discussing it during those steering meetings at the school level. What do teachers do? So teachers will have to have an understanding of the handbook and the process that it takes for students to be referred or to be provided with Tier 2 interventions and Tier 3 interventions. They will also have to implement Tier 2 interventions in their classrooms. So it is no longer okay after the initial instruction that takes place, the core instruction that takes place, for a student to be referred to an MTSS meeting because they're not performing up to the standard, up to, when that instruction takes place. It is the responsibility of the teacher, again, to differentiate instruction to ensure that Tier 2 interventions are in place in the classroom where it is mainly more meaningful for the student. The student is with his or her peers, they're engaging in conversation, they are learning from each other. The teacher can provide feedback during that time. It is not okay, the child has to go now with so-and-so and be out of the classroom for an extended period of time and then miss part of the core instruction that takes place. That's why it is imperative for teachers to be very versed in Tier 2 strategies, and that we will help them with. It's not easy. So what happens is at a school, teacher teams should get together to look up and research what kinds of strategies are out there that are research-based that we can help put into place in the classroom and help support our students. There's also interventions that are suggested in the Branching Minds platform. So this is a good thing. Branching Minds offer, okay, if you have a student that has a hard time with main idea, identifying the main idea of a paragraph, they can go in there and there are intervention suggestions that they can also take from there and apply them into their classroom. And when there's a question, of course, ask any of the administrators, the coaches that we have, any members of the district-wide team would be able to answer those questions. I'm very excited about this. Just write decodables. So These are classroom libraries from pre-kindergarten to grade 5 that are of high interest for students so that they read a text that is at their level with illustrations that look like them, that with topics that they can relate to. Teachers may introduce these books to students, and in the back of the book there's a barcode. That barcode helps them go straight to resources related to that decodable text. So if a student has an issue with identifying initial consonant sounds, that barcode, the teacher goes right to that barcode, takes a picture of it, and it will take them to a resource page where they can pull up some of those resources to help that child. So what we're seeing is that resources should be readily available for teachers. Teachers don't have the time to stop and think, okay, what am I going to do now with this child? They need to have resources at their disposal. So one of the things that Decodable does is exactly that. And so does Branching Minds. So you see a pattern here. We're trying to support our teachers while at the same time provide students with what they need. So they will be equipped with a classroom library set, and also there will be multiple copies of books for the teacher to have a small group lesson with something that perhaps a group of students are struggling with. So if she pulls a group of students to the side, they can have the same text, everybody's reading the same text, and at the same time they're targeting some of those skills that the students need help with. Teachers in grades pre-K to 5 will receive professional development. October 31st, they are slated to have professional development, which is a day that there's no school for students. And the presenters will come and show them how to use the decodables and the resources that will be available to them. PLC meetings. This is also a new initiative this year. At the direction of the superintendent, we are having teacher collaborative team meetings. Meaning when we get together, it's not just to discuss, oh, what field trip are we going to? Oh, let's plan our October 31st Halloween party. Oh, let's do this, let's do that. That is okay, and you can have those conversations. However, there should be a structured time when teachers are talking specifically about instructional strategies and how students are doing in their classrooms, and then targeting that conversation so that it is more fruitful. And you can have an action plan where, okay, we're going to designate some people that will be in charge of this, of doing this, providing a scaffold, that could be a graphic organizer or something that they come up with based on student data or based on student work products. So those collaborative conversations are happening and should start happening, or if not, should start happening pretty soon. They do this when they have a day that is a 2-day prep, so that contractually they still receive a prep for that day. Here's how we define PLC. It's not a thing like, you know, a period of the day, oh, we're doing PLC now. It is specifically to answer 4 questions here actually I have. What do we want students to learn? How will we know that they have learned it? What will we do if they don't learn it? And what will we do if they already know it? We cannot forget our accelerated students. Some of our students are bored. Why? Because whatever is being taught is being taught at an average level in the classroom. They will tune out. Some of them may become a behavioral problem because that's what they don't have anything to do. They go through the work really quickly and that's it. Or we may have students at the opposite end who are struggling. So therefore we need to have those conversations during these meetings. What are we going to do with our bottom third? What are we going to do with our average students and our accelerated students so that all students are successful? This is actually the definition from Dufour, 2021. He's a guru on PLCs. It is an ongoing process in which educators work collaboratively in recurring cycles of collective inquiry and action research to achieve better results for the students they serve. Professional learning communities operate under the assumption that the key to improved learning for students is continuous, job-embedded learning for educators. Learning from each other. Teachers learning from each other, learning from their instructional coaches, and that's how you get the biggest bang for your buck. Why? Because the teacher and the talent is already there, the skills are already there, and we just need to use them effectively. So these are happening bi-weekly. There's a rolling agenda, notes are kept. And the rationale behind the rolling agenda, we just recently did a book study called DataWise. And in that book study, it talks about what I said before about the definition of PLCs. It's an action research, meaning it's cyclical in nature. We identify a problem of practice. It is not the student who is coming in through the doors of our buildings that's having an issue with learning. What are we doing? And we need to restate that. What are we doing as teachers and educators that can help students learn more effectively? So yes, students come from different backgrounds and they have different things that are beyond our control. But as soon as they cross the doors of our buildings, they're ours, and we need to service them. And we need to figure out what can we do to have them be successful in the classroom and beyond. So there's a facilitator for these meetings. Obviously, there are protocols in place, such as having norms for the meetings. There are roles. There are pluses and deltas, like we talk about how did the meeting, the last time we met, how did that go? What were some of the things that worked? What were some of the things that didn't work? And we focus on a student-centered issue, meaning what is the issue that is happening that is affecting the student? Is it that we need to teach it in a different way? What can we do? And then next steps. Some of you may have heard about Achieve 3000 literacy. This is happening at the junior high school and high school. Why? Because again, we need to differentiate instruction, specifically with ELA and social studies. Students are provided with a textbook, let's say, or an article that they have to read. More times, they cannot read the text. Why? Because the reading level is either too difficult or too easy. Tune out. They go through it and they're done. So what Achieve 3000 does is that it provides a text at the Lexile level of the student. So there is a baseline assessment that students are taking right now, and that will let the teacher know, Johnny is reading at an 800 at Lexile level. This is the passage, same as another passage that another student may be reading at a higher Lexile level. Same text, but the way that they wrote it is for that, to meet the needs of that particular student who is an 800 Lexile level student, or even below that, 200 Lexile level. They're learning vocabulary, they're learning the content. Achieve 3000 is about high interest topics, so there may be an article about the Olympics that just happened, something that has happened currently. So these are done all the time. The platform is being updated all of the time, every single day, with new material, new text for students to read, so that they're interested in what they're reading. It allows for digital differentiated high interest text, like I said before, and again, to provide the teacher yet another way to differentiate instruction. So from the elementary school all the way to the high school, this is the focus. Let's differentiate instruction. Let's see what we can do to help our students succeed. Still learning the content, still holding up them up to that standard that they need to learn. Because that's something that we all are mandated to have. Next generation standards are here, they're not going anywhere. We need to prepare our students for the 21st century, and that's what this is doing. The training that is happening on, actually it happened this past week. It happened with our junior high school and high school teachers, and it was very successful. I heard great things about it. And the nice thing about Achieve 3000 is that it has a career component to it. So for example, if I want to be a biomedical engineer, I'll put that in the system. I want to be a biomedical engineer. The program will let you know this is the Lexile level that you need to have in order to be a biomedical engineer. Then the student can create goals and strive to get to that Lexile level. It will also give them the skills that they need. If they need communication skills, they need how to relate with certain, the business sector or whatever the case may be. It will allow them to have that in front of them. So therefore, this program is versatile. They can use it wherever. They can use it at home. They can use it during study hall. They log in. They read an article. They answer the questions. And what it does is that after 4 articles are read, the student is guaranteed to go up a Lexile level. So it is a wonderful thing to have, and we're really happy to have it. And we are involving the Questar coaches that are coming in to provide support. They're also related to different subject areas such as social studies, science. There's astronomy there, there's chemistry, there's all kinds of articles that students could read. So during the day, students plan lessons around Achieve 3000 because it allows them, let's say for instance, they want to teach something on the Constitution. So they present their lesson on the Constitution. Then they may say, okay class, I need you to read the article on the Constitution. Every single student will have a different text in front of them about the Constitution at their Lexile level. That's the beauty of this. So they're still learning about the Constitution, but it'll be at their level so that they can read it and understand it, and then understand the content that is being taught. That makes for a strong Tier 1, right, core instruction program. So if we make that stronger, our students will succeed. Eureka Math Squared, you have probably heard about this from the elementary school. This is year 1 for the junior high school. We thought it might be necessary to have a cohesion, right, to have coherence. Being that the students at the elementary school were exposed to Eureka Math, this is year 2 for them, why not carry that over to the junior high school? Aligned to the next gen standards. It also it involves a lot of real life problems, and so it helps students with problem solving and those skills that we want them to have when they are moving beyond high school. We are going to strengthen math instruction by using Eureka Math Squared. At the elementary school, as I said, this is year 2. So they will continue to create differentiated lessons, continue to monitor student progress in their Tier 1, and use the Branching Minds platform to help with Tier 2 interventions. There will be embedded instructional coaching through the Questar coaches, but also through our own instructional coaches. Common planning time will help teachers develop lessons and units that are being taught as a grade level, but also the vertical alignment of what skills are needed for students when that there are prerequisite skills from one grade to the next. So there's that horizontal alignment and the vertical alignment as well. Oh, and not to mention, I forgot to mention, all curricula must be aligned to the culturally responsive, sustaining educational framework. That's another mandate from the NYSEG, from the New York State Department. We must have lessons that are culturally relevant, an environment that is affirming, and where students are affirmed, where their backgrounds support what it is that we're learning about, and have them make those contributions in the classroom, so it's more meaningful. As I stated, junior high school, this is year 1. The training started in August and will continue throughout the year. I just put here September, but it will continue. Obviously, the administrators will monitor the implementation of it and ensure that it's implemented with fidelity so that we have better results. As I mentioned before, this is also a mandate from the New York State Education Department, the culturally responsive sustaining educational practices. So everything that we do must be aligned to it. The framework is linked in your PowerPoint, so you can take a look at that framework. And it's also it's in the New York State Education Department website, so you have access to that as well for the public. So these are the 4 things that the framework talks about. Welcoming and affirming environment, high expectations, and rigorous instruction. I cannot emphasize that enough. All students, having high expectations for all, and rigorous instruction. And that's why instruction must be aligned to the next gen standards as well. Having an inclusive curriculum and assessment program in our schools, and ongoing professional learning. The support for teachers must be there. They can't be just left to do, whatever it is that has to get done and rely only on themselves. We must provide that support, whether it's embedded professional learning, or sending them out to a conference, or bringing people into the district to support them. This is another initiative that is taking place, social emotional initiatives, restorative justice and practices in our schools. We're aligning these, of course, with the CRS framework, including ensuring that restorative justice is applied at every school. And we want to decrease the amount of referrals that we're having in our schools. We must have a code of conduct, and obviously that is taking place right now. We are going to ensure that every student understands, and every community member, parents, and whoever is related to the school understands what their responsibility is in following a code of conduct, because it's not just for the students, it's for everybody. And so that is being worked by Dr. Pressey. And that's something that we look forward to in the near future. I know that she's probably going to be talking about that in her presentation. But mostly we need to, for students to feel safe, welcome, and affirmed, and included in all that we do. Students need a place to share their experiences, not just on Multicultural Night, but every single day. Every single day, we need to have those relationships with students so that they feel comfortable in relating some of the things that are happening in their lives, and how important that is, and how that contributes to their learning. Restorative circles. This took place, there was a training that took place not too long ago where a very big group of, I would say, teachers, administrators were a part of that. And it is being implemented in Blue Hawk Academy. And one of the things behind this is that students need a place that they feel safe in expressing what's going on in their lives, what's happening, what's impeding their learning. And that happens in a safe way with with trained professionals on how to do that and how to do circles. It is not counseling. It is not something that, a psychologist would do, where it's more clinical in nature. It's more about sharing experiences and how we can support each other. Rubicon Atlas, this has been a part of our district for a long time. However, it has resurfaced, and there's a good reason for it. If we have new curriculum, we need a way to memorialize what we're doing. And we need a way to put it into something, into some type of program or database where it could be looked at and adjusted as we go along. So, and we also need to find the gaps. What are the gaps in that curriculum? What are some of the things that according to the New York State assessments or that formative assessments are letting us know, hey, our kids need some help with, or maybe there's a grade level, or there's a group of students that are struggling with something, a skill or a standard, a particular standard. Then Rubicon Atlas will help you look at the curriculum and say, aha, the reason why that's happening is because we're not teaching it until June. Test is in May. Okay, so it may help us also be more strategic when we write our curriculum, when we put resources in place so that we are more targeted in that manner. So all schools will receive, again, embedded training from the Questar Rubicon Atlas coach. Every school would be responsible for memorializing their units and lessons using Rubicon Atlas. And for starters, we just want a title of what you're doing or a unit title. We want to have a standard there that is a next-gen standard. We would like to have essential questions. We like to have the materials, the resources that they're using, and we would like to have how are we assessing our students for that particular unit, for that particular lesson. That's it. It doesn't need to be a book. It doesn't need to be a chapter. It could be something as simple as that. Why? Because then we can see the sequence and what are we teaching and when. And then that could be a starting point to later on elaborating more on those units as we learn more about our students and how they learn. In year one, lessons and units that need to be edited, we need to do that. So lessons and units that were there already, that are Common Core, no more. We have to look back and say, okay, this is Common Core, we need to update this to be next gen. So by the end of year one, we hope to accomplish that. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a quick clarifying question, just checking my understanding here. When you talked about MTSS and you talked about branching minds, we know that teachers have a lot on their plates and juggle a lot on any given day, so just checking my understanding that actually gives resources to make doing tier 2, like it gives lesson plans or it
Yes.
gives materials for students.
It does.
Got it.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a massive amount of work, thank you, and thank you to everybody else who's been participating, all the teachers, admin, counselors, and psychologists. My one question is just on the reading part of it. Does the new curriculum or new resources replace CKLA? Are we still using CKLA?
That's a very good question. CKLA, the program was, I believe, started either 3 to 5 years ago. I'm not quite sure when.
21, 22?
Yeah. It is Common Core aligned.
Okay.
It is not next gen aligned. Therefore, we need to supplement. And that's why we cannot call a book or a teacher's guide the curriculum. That is a resource. We got to look at the blueprint, the code. What is it when we go to build a structure? The building manager comes to us and says, hey, what's your code? What are the codes? Okay, the building inspector, the town inspector comes in. I'm not going to give you that permit because this is not up to code. That's what the standards are. It provides the blueprint for what our students need to know and learn at each and every level. So CKLA, though it is a program that was newly started not too long ago, we need to look at it again. And we need to say, okay, is this meeting the needs of our students? And that's not a decision that is going to be made overnight. What I plan on doing is having a literacy committee that will look at data to see what it is that we need to do, either to supplement the program, to leave the program as is, and maybe the teachers need more professional development on how to use it. I don't know. That's something that comes up at a literacy committee where we'll do a needs assessment. And at that point, we could answer that question better.
Great, thank you. Anybody else?
I appreciate the quote at the top. If there's one thing I think we're doing here is trying to give our students the skills for a lifetime of learning. Because I think we all know it doesn't end, after graduation. I may show my ignorance here because this is not my field. But I did try to take notes as you made some points of emphasis. So Avid, for example, how does Avid work, I guess? And you described it as a certain amount of skills or thinking.
Sure. So Avid starts at the elementary school. My understanding is that it is a class where some students are selected for that class, or if it's a class that takes place in the classroom, it teaches the skills that students need in order to function as, citizens in our society. So it might be lessons on, and actually there's a poster right here, Wicker strategies. That's one of the strategies that they have. It's writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. It helps them with metacognitive skills. In order for us to help all of our students, that should be opened up to everybody, not just a select few or some students that are in Avid. At the elementary.
It's more universal.
Mhm.
It's selective at the junior high level.
Yes. So it should be more inclusive at the junior high and high school level.
I think that's another one. So I'm being introduced to restorative practices on the board essentially, and I guess one of the goals is to be less punitive with interventions. I'll say.
Yes.
I actually curious because I was reading I just signed the ASP Code of Conduct, and I don't know exactly where the boundaries are with ASP, but I'm pretty sure a warning is a suspension for a day for ASP. Is that, do we have control of that? Is that a district policy or does anybody?
Dr. Bessie, would you like to answer?
So you're saying that a warning is a suspension?
My recollection was that a student getting a warning had to miss a day of ASP and then progressively from there.
No, we'll talk about that when I talk about ASP, and I will go over it with everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. So yeah, we have a third reading of policy 1120R, school district records regulation. And the change is just in number 2, changing record management office to the title, not a specific person. Feel good to everybody?
I think we removed reference to the records access officer as well. So the top of the designations, it doesn't include how we designate the records access officer.
It does under access to records, number 1, on the second page.
Number 1, second page. Well, yes, in the designation section though, the previous version designated how we would decide who that is.
Oh,
And so we've removed that reference, I guess.
It does say superintendents of schools with board's approval will designate a record management officer. Is that what you're talking about?
Records management officer, records access officer is a separate person. It's consistently been that in past policy, and we've designated a person for records management and records access in the reorg meeting. So I don't know if we're eliminating the position or if we're.
Did you put in the most
Did you
current?
put the most current?
The names were removed and they were put in with their titles and what I was told to do. You don't put that person's name?
no, they're not in
Put
there.
it.
No.
It was
So yeah, it does, records are requested from and inspected or copied at the Office of the Records Access Officer. So you're just saying it doesn't?
We're not defining who that is.
Yes, it's
It
administrative
says
assistant.
administrative
and the chief
assistant to the
financial
CFO.
Where, I guess what line is that?
It
Three.
immediately follows records access officer. It's a parenthetical set in commas.
officer.
Administrative assistant to the chief financial officer.
Okay, I guess I would expect it to be the designation of officers section at the top, I guess, which is where it has always been. So I'm confused.
Yeah, it's Roman numeral 3, section 1. Is where it defines who it is.
I guess.
Are you confused or just asking that it be replicated above?
Well, I guess designation of officers in Roman numeral 1 is where I'd expect us to designate all the officers involved.
Okay, so you're asking that we hold off, move that up there?
Yes.
Cool. All right, so then we'll move on to executive session. This time we do have a need for an early executive session for the purposes of reviewing the employment history of a particular person or persons. Make a motion to enter executive session at 7:03.
Second.
All in favor? All right, and Appreciate it. We are now at personnel agenda. Make a motion to accept personnel agenda items A through W.
Second.
All right, questions, comments?
Yeah, so one of the roles that is up for approval tonight is the new HR position. And I just was hoping, Dr. Penniman, you could tell us a little bit about the origins of the position and how you think it will help the district.
Sure. This position is not a new position. And also, it's absolutely vital to the district's future. This is an existing position. It has been vacant since 2022. And it previously was referred to as the Human Resources Manager. In addition, the salary for the position is not new either. It was in 2023-2024 school district's annual budget and is funded in the current 2024-2025 district budget and approved by the Board of Education and the community voters.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Dr. Penniman, can you speak to how this position will directly support the district's teachers?
Sure. A school district human resources leader is crucial. This person is responsible for recruiting, hiring, and retaining the best educators and staff. The human resources executive supports teachers through professional development opportunities, handling employee relations, and implementing fair and consistent policies and procedures. The human resources manager also plays an important role in fostering a positive and inclusive work environment that directly impacts teachers. Motivation, morale, and performance. Ultimately, the human resources person supports the well-being and success of an effective educational environment for teachers and students.
Great. And just to be clear, this is not something that is taking away from any other budgeted items in the district budget?
No, this position has been vacant since 2022, and it was budgeted, and the budget was passed for this position.
Great. And her concerns about the central office administration becoming top-heavy or excessive compared to the rest of the district?
I have not created any new positions at central office since I started. The position of DE&I manager was created by the preceding superintendent before me. That position, I have not created any new position. Yes, this executive director of teaching and learning, the name is new. The position is not new. It was formerly human resources manager. So I have not, I will repeat, as the superintendent, I have not created any new positions in the central office.
Further questions? All in favor? Great. Thank you. Brings us to welcome new staff.
Okay. So tonight, I'd like to welcome Mr. Edward Ham, and if you would please stand if you're here. Mr. Ham is a graduate of the Hudson High School. He went on to receive his bachelor's degree in political science and policy studies from Syracuse University and his master's in adolescence education from SUNY New Paltz. Before transitioning to teaching, he worked at a local nonprofit where he helped individuals navigate housing challenges as a HUD certified counselor and program manager. A fun fact about Mr. Ham is that he can juggle up to 5 juggling balls. Welcome. I don't know if Mr. Connor is here. Dan Connor, interim associate principal at the junior high school. Oh, yeah. Well, please stop by if you're junior high families or just meet Mr. Connor. He's got a wealth of experience. I'm just going to let you know about him anyways, because he had to. Okay, I'm happy to introduce him. He's been an educator for over 48 years. And during that period of time, he's had the pleasure to work in both rural, suburban, and urban schools. As the new interim associate principal in Hudson City School District, he will bring a passion and a belief that all of our students can reach their maximum potential. He wants the entire staff and student body and our community to know that no one ever really cares about how much you know until they understand that you care about them. He has always believed this and has found it to be extremely beneficial when developing trust and confidence throughout the school community. In closing, Mr. Connor would like to thank the Hudson City School Board of Education and the Superintendent of Schools for providing him with this opportunity to serve in this very important position. He looks forward to meeting and seeing all of you in the very near future. And a fact that I found out about Mr. Connor just by speaking to some superintendents this weekend is that he was very instrumental in NICED Department of Curriculum. He was on that team, and he leaves a long history behind him of the great job he did while serving on the state committee for curriculum and instruction. So our executive director, Shantae Brooks, she's not here tonight, but I just want to read a little bit about her so that everyone can understand, can know something about her. She's a dedicated educational professional with over 19 years of experience committed to student success and community service. She's a proud graduate of Mount Vernon High School with a bachelor's in sociology, criminal justice from the College of New Rochelle. And additionally, she holds a master's in urban teaching and master's in school building leadership from Mercy College, as well as a district certification from SUNY Plattsburgh. Her career spans in a variety of roles, including school crisis interventionist, teaching assistant, youth residential treatment. She has served as a special education teacher, mentor teacher, CSE chair for New York State Department of Education, and held positions such as assistant director of special education, assistant principal at Wappingers Central School District. And most recently, she was a principal in Newburgh, where Ms. Brooks successfully transformed the school culture by implementing culturally relevant teaching strategies and offering comprehensive professional development to cultivate teacher leadership, resulting in a reduction of disciplinary issues and increase in attendance. Currently, she works as an adjunct professor at SUNY New Paltz, where she shares her expertise with future leaders. Her diverse experience across 7 different service industries has enriched her leadership skills and broadened her perspective on education and community service. In her personal time, she enjoys self-care, traveling, spending quality moments with her 2 children, family, and her furry companion, Biggie. A fun fact about her, she gave her sister the ultimate gift of a kidney. Proving she's all about sharing, whether it's vital organs or vital knowledge, or vital leadership in the area of education. She's thrilled to join Hudson City School District as the Executive Director of Human Resources. She looks forward to attracting and retaining a highly qualified, diverse staff that aligns with the district mission to embrace all students and inspire them to achieve their personal best as Blue Hawks and beyond. And I also want to say that Ms. Brooks is no stranger to our district. She served as a sub-principal at the junior high school, and she's built relationships there with student staff and families. And I have Angela Grandinetti, physical education teacher. Angela Grandinetti, was born and raised in Hudson. And she graduated from Hudson High School in 2015. Following high school, she attended Columbia Green Community College, where she studied applied science. Ms. Grandinetti then furthered her education at Russell Sage College. She earned her degree in physical education in May of 2023. Currently, she serves as a teaching assistant at Ichabod Crane Middle School and also holds the position of head coach for the junior varsity softball team. An interesting fact about Angela is that she comes from a large traditional Italian family. And I always say it's always always great to be able to hire a Hudson grad, so welcome.
All right, brings us to public participation at board meetings. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to convene into the public comment period of our meeting. Although state law does not require us to hold a public comment period, we have chosen to do so because we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. Having said that, please note the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be a discussion. Accordingly, please do not expect the board to respond to your concerns and questions tonight. This is because we take your concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues if need be. We will, however, respond to your questions and concerns at a future meeting or have the proper staff member get back to you at the appropriate time. Under state and federal privacy laws, we're unable to entertain any comments or questions about school personnel. On these matters, we ask you to go through the proper administrative channels. We ask that speakers please address their comments to the board directly rather than the audience. Each speaker is given 3 minutes.
Okay, we have Wayne Kinney up first.
Applause. Oh, shoot. Don't start that timer yet, Mark. Not that I care, because if I go over 3 minutes, I'm going to go over 3 minutes. Oh, goodness. I did not expect to be here this early in the year already, but here we are. Dear members of the board, thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening. I'd like to remind the board that I'm here this evening as the president of the Hudson Teachers Association, not as an employee of the district. I want to address some critical concerns affecting our teachers and ultimately our student learning experiences. I would like to start out with staff morale. Some of you on the board in the past have questioned district administrators about what they were doing to boost staff morales. The answer to that question right now is nothing. Morale is actually at an all-time low. Our opening day, whether done intentionally or not, gave a 3-hour message that we are a bunch of teachers who are bad at our jobs, don't understand how to teach our students because we don't understand where they come from. What a great way to start the school year. Staff from other units also picked up on this as well and asked me, why are we starting the year by bashing teachers? Good question. I tried to relay this message to the superintendent, who had no concern about the message sent, and replied that, your teachers are only trying to cause problems. I even had a new teacher come up to me at the end to give me her union paperwork and said, I'll do a little for coat for now, but I don't know how long I'm going to stay here. Brand new teacher, no teaching experience, and that was the message opening day. They're already ready to go. Again, I can't blame her because of the message. I also mean if my new boss pronounced almost every new staff member's name incorrectly that day, I probably wouldn't want to stay here either. How embarrassing. Effective pedagogy starts with creating a comfortable and consistent learning environment, which relies on clear routines and relationships with our students. Our teachers are dedicated to fostering that environment, but the district's current approach in rolling out numerous initiatives simultaneously is making fostering that environment increasingly difficult. During the course of the first 3 weeks of school, numerous faculty members have been pulled from either their classes, their prep time, or hall duty, which was not covered by a sub, to receive rush training in new platforms, including fast bridge testing and Achieve 3000 and the new science standards. I need to point out that when I brought that concern up with the superintendent about a member being pulled from hall duty, and that duties were a big sticking point in our last negotiation because it was you guys that wanted those duties in our contract, and your lawyer held it over our head and wouldn't give us a raise until we agreed. When I brought that up with the superintendent, her response was, PD takes priority over duties. Don't know where the priorities are now. I'm going to finish, if you don't mind.
May I ask about how far you are through?
Almost done.
Okay. Thanks.
Our ELA and social studies teachers were pulled from classes in prep time yesterday with only 10 minutes warning that they were even being pulled. For training that they're expected to put into their classrooms, Achieve 3000, they're expected to do twice a month, which is going to take 20 instructions a day away from us. Within the training, they were told that the students' Wexel reading scores would not necessarily match those of FastBridge, which they're expected to do 3 times a year because the two programs aren't integrated. So 2 initiatives to get students' reading scores that we can't even use the data because we're not going to be able to compare them. Makes absolutely no sense. On top of that, for FastBridge Math, in the directions, it tells teachers that students cannot use a calculator. At the secondary level, state allows us to teach with the calculators in math, use them on math research exams. So by giving a FastBridge test that does not match what we're doing, what type of data is that going to give us? Not accurate data. 8 new and continuing initiatives being forced upon us are costing the district money for training, money for subs, which we do not have subs. Yesterday alone, 15 to 20 subs in the elementary building, probably pulled aides and everything else because they did a full day of data training, which doesn't make sense to me because that's been done for like 6 years, taking full days to look at data, yet nothing seems to be improving down there. I don't blame the teachers for that. This could all have been done either opening day or in department meetings from 2:45 to 4 or on other superintendent conference days. Here's the real problem, folks, and I've been over this with you before. Students aren't held accountable. We are. We do our job, yet when students fail, we get the blame, and the students just continue to fail forward. 39% of last year's 8th graders failed 2 or more courses, yet they were promoted to 9th grade without any retention, summer school, or anything else. 39% failed 3 or more of their core courses. Guess what's going to happen in 9th grade? These kids have been passed on for too long. I grieved that policy last year and told you it needs to change. I told you social promotion needs to change, but it seems to fall on deaf ears. We're not failing the kids. The system created by board policies and the inability of administrators to listen to the staff is what's failing this district right now. In a recent meeting with the superintendent, I tried to discuss a lot of the stuff. She accused teachers of keeping minority students from taking AP classes. I'm going to give you a handout in a minute. Over 50% of the AP classes are minority students. I do not know where she's getting her data from. Failed initiatives, where to go with them. And I'm going to tell you right now, she's been threatening me every time I go in. When I go in as union president, I'm on the same footing with her. I'm tired of her threatening me, bringing state in, if the state is making us do all this. No, we need to do this here. Because the community needs truth. You want to bring state in?
Look, your time is up. If you guys have
Would
issues
you rather
that are
drag me out? I got
personal.
one more thing to say and I'm done, Mark.
Okay, please don't make it personal. That's
It
not
is
fair.
personal right now because
No,
she's
no,
not
people
listening
don't
to
attack
anybody.
you personally.
You want to bring
and if
state
you want
in,
to give us
bring
these
state in.
complaints, we
I
can
would
take
love-
them and we'll make a bill.
I would love to sit at this table and have a longer conversation, and I would love to have state ed here because state ed has no clue what the hell's going on.
Can we
Thank you.
do you have copies of your complaints?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm tired of lies. I'm tired of the teachers getting the blame.
Next up, Jen Daly.
Hi, everyone. Just going to reintroduce myself for anyone who hasn't heard me speak before. I'm an educator. Also, I teach at the Kingston City School District. I've been a teacher there for approximately 20 years. Prior to that, I worked at Rockland County BOCES, and I taught at the Devereaux Foundation. When I am absolutely shocked and appalled by what I just witnessed, and it wasn't the words that Mr. Kinney said. but it's some of the faces, the people who are in front of me, that were almost incredulous, like, I don't know what he's talking about. So this is where I start, and I'm glad I wrote this today. A community. A community consists of a group of people with the same set of morals or values. I've always prided myself on graduating from Hudson in 1994. And even though I do not currently teach in this district, I am tied to this community through my children. It saddens me that as a fellow educator, when I hear the wonderful teachers that are sitting here in front of me today and tonight, right? And paraprofessionals, we can't forget the paraprofessionals, we couldn't do it without them, in this district are not getting the support that they need. And all that's being added is more to their plate without any kind of compensation or a thank you, honestly. Teacher and paraprofessional fatigue is real, and it occurs when educators can no longer do their job because of stress. And this seems like a stressful school district to work in. I am thankful to be thanked every day for the job that I do. It is the job of the administrators and the people sitting in front of me on the board to make sure their teachers are able and capable of providing quality of service. They were trained to do so. A professional likes to be treated as a professional and recognized for the value they hold in a community that I first mentioned. The problem is that all the members of the community need to value the same ideals. It is simple. If you want your teachers and paraprofessionals to provide quality education to all of our students, first you need to provide the same level of support to your staff that you expect them to provide to your students. I see teachers, and I can't imagine that they aren't doing tier 2 interventions just naturally in their classrooms. I just think to myself, happy teachers produce happy children because they teach in a happy environment because they happily do so. But if they are not happy because they are treated a certain way, well, that's a trickle-down effect, and I've talked about that before, and it comes from the top down. And I look at some of the board members making faces at Mr. Kinney while he's speaking, like, what are you talking about? And almost rushing him off. Well, do you have more to say? Well, how much longer do you have? And I know some of these people have children that go to the school district that would expect that their teachers, that child have the same amount of patience for their child in their classroom. So I think that the attitude needs to change, that we need to build a community again, that we all need to work together and not against each other, and not make a certain group of people feel like they are not deserving of the respect that they have earned. Sorry, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Sorry to say, but I am so thankful to work for the Kingston City School District every day.
Celia Graham signed up, but she has left. So we have Jill Turner next.
Hey everybody, I'm Jill Turner. I'm a parent. And I wasn't going to speak tonight. I like coming to these meetings. But as I was listening to the presentation on curriculum, I was I guess I'm confused because I am a literacy at lunch mentor. I read at the elementary school every Tuesday with a child, and I watch these teachers, the librarians, interact with these kids. They know exactly what those kids' reading level is. They have special books for them. They really do have all those just right books. So I was surprised that that was being brought up and kind of implied that they don't have that yet. I also was confused because I was also on the school improvement committee, or I believe the school improvement committee for the SEP plan that was referenced. And I had the privilege of working with a group of teachers, some of them are here, and listening to them talk about these students. They know every single student. It was phenomenal listening to them rattle off. This kid needs this. They just know these students so well. And there was an implication at the beginning of that presentation that these teachers don't know their students too. So I'm confused about what, I don't know, the tone of the whole presentation confused me, because I feel like a lot of these things are already happening in our schools. And then I also would say that I know these teachers are talking to one another and seeing the way they're working together. When you're saying that they're only getting together to talk about Halloween parties and things like that, that was, I took offense to that, because the people who care for my children and teach my children and make me love this school are the teachers. And if the teachers are leaving, I mean, please, I'm just here to say, please, listen to these teachers. Please don't let us lose our teachers. They're our greatest asset. For the past 3 years that I have come to these meetings, it does sometimes feel like there is some sort of a disconnect between what they're saying and how the board and the administration is reacting or responding to those concerns. So that's why I wanted to get up here. And to thank the teachers for what was said doesn't, in my opinion, reflect what's happening in those classrooms. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you everybody for your comments. These things obviously mean a lot to us, and it might not seem like it, but speaking up does create change. It does motivate all of us to try and work together, uncover new answers, and we've all seen the data. The data's flat over 6 years. We need to do something, all of us together, to make a change. This is the superintendent's update.
Touring the schools. The board had a chance to tour the schools on Monday the 16th. And as you can see, board members, Mr. McElroy, Mr. DePace, and Ms. Mugler, and we toured all 3 Hudson City schools. The board members were thrilled to see classes in action throughout the 3 schools. During the tour and classroom visit, students of all grade levels applied their knowledge, completed group work, utilized available tools and technology, and led and participated in class discussions, and much more. And the district looks forward to having future tours and classroom visits with the Board of Education. Our strategic planning collaborative meeting was also held this past week. And a strategic planning session, it was recently held with active participants from the BOE members, parents, and staff. And the collaborative session, it provided a valuable opportunity for stakeholders to come together to share their perspective and to contribute to developing strategic plan goals and objectives, and that they will guide the organization's future direction. It was an inclusive and productive gathering, and it allowed for meaningful discussion, formulation of goals, and that reflect diverse perspectives and needs of the entire community. And this plan will outline Hudson's strategic goals, strategies, initiatives, and expected outcomes. And based on considerable research and extensive input from various stakeholders. The intention of this is for the document is to serve as both a guiding strategy document for the district, leadership, and staff, as well as to clearly communicate the district's priorities to the public. Some photos from our strategic planning. We had the mayor there, and parents, teachers, board members. So I wanted to read this to everyone because when I got this letter from Mr. Briscoe, he shared this with me. I was so happy, it just kind of made my day. So, high praise for the Blue Hawks. Cobalskill's head football coach sent the following email to Hudson's varsity football team. Dear Hudson Blue Hawks, I want to commend you as a team. You were a pleasure to coach against, and from my players' perspective, a pleasure to play against. You are the first team from Hudson to enter a game with us that was completely prepared, disciplined, and playing as a unit. My teams at Coble Skills have played against many Hudson teams for over 27 years, and he has coached at Coble Skills for over 27 years. They have been talented and a few times not so talented, but the fact that they won was never really dependent upon our talent. The teams that have performed well have been the ones that focused on playing as a team throughout the season. But I will say that even some of them were not fun to play against because the players didn't always conduct themselves with class. You are a classy team that is going in the right direction with players that want to succeed and work together. And I think that is a direct reflection of those leading you, your coaches. Stick with the coaches. They are there for the right reasons and are doing things the right way. Do not allow any of you to ever give up and trust the process that your coaches are using with you. As for the coaches, I would not say it if I did not believe it. Keep the faith and keep doing what you're doing, and the sleeping giant in Hudson will be awoken again. Respectfully, Coach Ed Hanto. So September was harvest month. And September, as you can see, our students enjoying shucking the corn, eating the fresh corn. So the food this month was corn. Harvest of the month promotes locally grown and fresh food items every month. The food service team and some classrooms, including the food and nutrition class, prepared and engaged in the educational, tasty, and fun experience. As you can see from the photos of our students, they were having a great time. Fresh, locally grown roasted corn on the cob from Florida, New York was served district-wide on Wednesday, September 18th. And the corn was served in a husk so students could get the husking experience. Meet the Teacher Nights. I attended Meet the Teacher Night at the not elementary, that was a typo, at the junior high and high school, because tomorrow night's the elementary. It was an excellent opportunity for parents to meet their children's teachers, learn about curriculum, and ask any questions they had. It was well organized, and the event that followed, the event allowed for open communication between parents and teachers and provide valuable insights into the education and support their children would receive throughout the school year. Just a glance from Meet the Teacher Night, junior high and high school. The clicker is acting weird. Yep. That ends my superintendent report. Okay. Thank you. We have to get.
Thank you very much. Brings us to consensus agenda. Tabitha, thank you for getting the revised treasurer's reports up there. Make a motion to approve consensus agenda items A through D. Second. All in favor? There's a public forum. Tracy, new business facility committee's report.
Good evening, everyone. This committee met on Tuesday, September 9th, so about 2 weeks ago. In attendance, we had Tyler, he's the head of maintenance, along with Tabitha Brash, and Tabitha began for the business office, myself, and Matthew Leonard. Matt is the lead with the swimming pool. Start of school went well. They did a lot of deep cleaning, removed furniture, wiped down, did a lot of prepping just to make sure that our kids were being welcomed to a clean, inviting space. In regards to staffing, there is one person out from the maintenance department on FMLA. That position will be occupied by Roger over at MC Smith. Roger posted the new role, and they're going to be processing for new hires as well. Also leading up to the start of school, there were some trainings in place for all staff to complete. Those related to school safety, the right to know, bloodborne pathogens, spill prevention, asbestos awareness, safe lifting and ladder safety, fire extinguisher training, lockout, tag out, radio etiquette, chemical hygiene, and workplace violence, all relevant trainings to onboarding of new staff and current as well. In addition to that, there were some chemical cleaning trainings. There's a new window washing kit that the maintenance crew is excited about, that they put to good use. And of course our pool. So some of the pool updates, there was a lot of renovations took place in there. All new valves were ordered. The pool was completely drained, and all ears were scrubbed. New lines were painted, drains were retiled, and the pool is back open. Matt has reported that they are short-staffed, and so they are continuing their search for lifeguards in the near future. I will be working collaboratively with Matt to just see what lifeguards are available coming off of Oakdale Camp. A lot of those students that we hire they may be in between work or they've gone back to school, and so just kind of inquiring what we could do to make the best of that, to make sure that we can get our pool here open. The boilers, we'll have some updates on the boilers. So at the high school, boilers were inspected and passed. At MC Smith, the hot water boiler was inspected and passed. Steam boiler number 1 was inspected and passed. However, steam boiler 2 is inactive, and Tyler is working with a new vendor to possibly isolate leaks and get that ready for reinspection so that we're on par and have 2 functioning boilers. So all boilers are on schedule to be opened and cleaned probably closer to November with the new vendor. Sports updates. The turf field was inspected. A few lines were re-sewed in the high traffic areas and groomed. All new soccer nets were purchased. The JV soccer team field was lined and ready to go for the start of the season, as well as the modified field receiving some lining for, again, the start of the season. Volleyball practice has begun. That's underway, and that's taking place in our gym. And all of the gym floors were sanded and recoated with as well as the high school stage. Next topic is a fire inspection. MC Smith completed waiting on deficiencies, and the same applies to the senior high school. Sprinkler inspection at MC Smith, that was completed. We're waiting on the deficiencies from that, as well as the junior high school. Elevator inspection, that was completed, and they're working on replacing the phones in the elevators as a means of communication, of course. And then phone upgrades. Tyler has continued to meet with several vendors just to vet the best software. And so that's ongoing. He has narrowed it down to, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Tabitha, I believe it's, is it down to a handful, maybe 2?
Yeah, there'll be another presentation on the smart schools and investment plan, because Cheryl Rabinowitz was very integral in that as well. But yes, that's a part of that whole plan.
Awesome. All right, thank you. And then, phones will be purchased under the Smart School investment plan, and Dr. Pennyman, as Tabitha just alluded to, will update us on that project along with Cheryl and Tyler at our next, at an upcoming, future board meeting.
Yeah.
And then more specifically to policy 1500, this applied to the rates that said organizations would be charged, whether they are a non-for-profit or something other than. Tyler is working on those changes to share to the, along with Dr. Presley, to share to the policy committee. There was a memorandum that was put in place stating that local groups, such as the Youth Department, Columbia County Pop Warner, Hudson Little League, those type of organizations will have their fee waived. Again, it's an effort that goes to our children, and so we don't necessarily want to burden those organizations that are tasked with recreational activities for our youth. And last but not least, capital projects. Tyler will be meeting with the architect in December to talk about first steps, and at that time we'll also do a meet and greet with the help of Dr. Penny. And that is the update for facilities.
Amazing, thank you. Please thank Tyler and his team as well.
Sorry.
Important dates. The following meetings are scheduled. October 8th, 2024, Board of Ed meeting, 6 p.m. in the high school library. October 22nd, 2024, Policy Committee meeting, 5 p.m. in the high school library. October 22nd, 2024, Board of Ed meeting, 6 p.m. in the high school library. There is a need for a second executive session for the purpose of reviewing the employment history of a particular person or persons. I make a motion to enter executive session at 8:30 p.m.
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you. There'll be no further business after this executive session. Thank you all for being here.